In this video, I'm going to be explaining what a notice of assessment is and everything you need to know about this document. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Irene and I'm a CPA here in Canada. I post videos explaining important accounting and tax concepts using simple language to help the everyday Canadian better understand accounting and taxes. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more. So why are notice of assessments issued? Well, it's the CRA's way of letting you know that they've received your tax returns and that they've reviewed it and that they've determined your tax liability. It's also a confirmation that they received your tax return and have processed it within the CRA's database. So please note that even though you may have received a notice of assessment for your tax filings, the CRA is still allowed to ask you to review your tax return in further details, as well as to ask for further supporting documentation later on. For the notice of assessments issued on your personal income tax filings, the notice assessment will show you your RSP contribution limit as well as carry forward amounts. Now, when you receive the notice of assessment, it's very important to check that the information matches what you reported on your tax return. It's important to review it carefully because if there are any discrepancies between the notice of assessment and your tax return filed, you should contact the CRA as soon as possible to correct them. So, what is a notice of assessment? Essentially, it's a document that summarizes the CRA's review of your income tax return. It shows the amount of tax that you owe or the refund that you'll be entitled to based on the information that you provided to them. On the notice of assessment, you will see the total income, total deductions, total tax credits, and the remaining balance payable or the amount that you'll be refunded. It is important to note that the notice of assessment is not the same as your tax return. Your tax return is the full tax return with all the details in which you would submit to CRA, while the notice of assessment that's issued by the CRA is actually the response to your tax return that you've submitted and filed to them. The notice of assessment summarizes the CRA's assessment of your tax liability, and sometimes the notice of assessment can include adjustments or corrections to the information that you provided on your tax return. Please note that you will receive a notice of assessment after you file any type of income tax return. So for example, this could be your personal income tax return, your corporate tax return, and your trust filings as well too. So an important thing to keep in mind is the timeline for objections. If you disagree with CRA's assessment of your tax return, you will have 90 days from the date that the notice of assessment was issued to file a formal objection. You will need to provide evidence as to why you believe CRA's assessment is incorrect, and you must provide details to explain your position. You can file a formal objection either through CRA My Account, or you can file it via mail using a form T400A. After the CRA has come to their conclusion after reviewing your objection, they will either accept what you have given them or they will reassess the tax return based on their determination. If you are still disagreeing with their assessments, the CRA will issue you a notice of reassessment, and then you can also file another objection against that CRA reassessment within 90 days of the issuance date of the notice. It is important to note that the appeal process can be time-consuming and complex, and it may be beneficial for you to seek professional advice from a CPA or even a tax lawyer if you are unsure how to proceed. However, if you believe that CRA's assessment is incorrect, it is your right to be able to file an objection to ensure that your tax liability is fairly determined. It is also worth noting that the CRA may also issue a notice of reassessment if they discover an error or an omission from your tax return, or if they receive new information that affects your tax liability. The notice of reassessment works in the same way as a notice of assessment. It'll just show you the revised tax liability. Thank you for making your way until the end of the video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more. Over here, YouTube thinks you're really going to like this video, so I'll meet you there.